the Idaho strict abortion law coming into conflict with the federal law that goes back to the 1980s that says that if a hospital wants to continue getting Medicare and Medicaid funds, they must have an emergency room that provides emergency services to everybody. And according to the Biden administration, that includes providing abortion services to women whose health might be injured by continuing with a pregnancy, which is something that the hospitals in red states are just unwilling to do, and Catholic hospitals everywhere are unwilling to do. And so now it's starting to look like at least a handful of the conservatives on the court, the Republicans on the court, are inclined to overthrow EMTALA, to overthrow this law that says that, you know, if you go to a hospital emergency room, they have to see you. Rather than saying, well, maybe they should, you know, provide an abortion if it's an emergency and you know, mom's life is in danger, or even if her health is in danger, maybe they should provide an abortion. I don't think that any of these Catholics on the court, frankly, are going to go down that road. But we'll see. But this is, you know, the other thing that's interesting is there was a poll that was published this morning over on Raw Story. 97% of Americans have no idea that this case is even being heard. I mean, it got very little coverage on the news media this morning. It was mentioned in passing, which led me to go listen to it. And I think it could be a big deal. I mean, this could alter the way that emergency medicine is done in the United States. It could also alter, I mean, they could decide to rule that a bill that, the EMTALA bill, the legislation that funds, it's essentially a funding bill. It provides money for Medicare and Medicaid, and basically says if you, you know, don't provide the kind of services, if you don't provide the emergency services that we're talking about here, you're going to lose that revenue, that Medicare and Medicaid money. And Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito were both saying, hey, you know, this is a funding bill. What is it? Why does it have criminal provisions, essentially? It should not. So this is going to get interesting. And I have a feeling that, you know, I mean, Idaho is having a crisis right now. About a quarter of all of their ob-gyns have left the state just because it's so dangerous to practice obstetrics now in Idaho. It's so dangerous to be a pregnant woman now in Idaho. And not just Idaho, in Idaho and 14 other Republican-controlled states that, you know, basically have total bans on abortion. And then, you know, another 15 or so that have, you know, significant partial bans on abortion. Texas also sued the Biden administration, saying that it's using the EMTALA laws and that the federal government is using the EMTALA law you know, as an end run. This is called the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, is what EMTALA stands for. That they're using this as an end run around the state abortion laws. And in fact, you know, that's essentially what the federal government, what the Solicitor General was arguing this morning, was that the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution says that federal law is always supreme relative to state or local law. And so if federal law says that you've got to serve a person who shows up in an emergency room, you've got to give them emergency care, even if that means an abortion to protect their health. And this is the big distinction. The Idaho law says you may only provide an abortion to protect the life of the mother. The federal law says you may provide an abortion to protect the health of the mother. And so the debate that they had in the Supreme Court this morning was, you know, does the federal government even have the authority to say that, number one? Number two, is the health of the mother just too broad a thing where any woman could just say, well, I think my health is going to be impaired, get rid of this thing, you know, which was kind of Sam Alito's position. I thought it was interesting that Amy Coney Barrett seemed to be amplifying a line of questioning from Sonia Sotomayor. But, you know, again, women have an understanding of abortion that probably is something that Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas and John Roberts will never fathom, or Brett Kavanaugh or Neil Gorsuch for that matter. I heard all of them weighing in. So keep an eye on this thing. This little case that got virtually no attention this morning could be huge. And, you know, we'll probably find out at the end of the summer when these decisions come down.